WrestleZone.com bringing you Chair Shot Reality. It is Josh Eisenberg and Justin LeBar. We're getting closer to SummerSlam. If you're going to be in Brooklyn on SummerSlam Sunday, make sure you stop by 205th. Great bar and restaurant, just a minute's walk from the Barclays Center. I'll be hosting a pre-party there from 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock. 41 draft beers, $3 beer cans. I mean, it's a great time. Don't miss it. It's going to be a good time. SummerSlam getting closer.
Yes.
We're waiting to see where Kevin Owens could end up being on SummerSlam. We kind of think Cesaro, but even on a bigger picture, Josh, there's been a lot of talk and a lot of debate about the treatment of Kevin Owens since he lost his last match to John Cena, and there's been question of, is he going to fall back down the ladder?
There's nowhere he could have gone besides down the ladder a little bit after debuting and beating John Cena at Elimination Chamber, and I think that's a problem that WWE booked themselves into. You had 3 months of John Cena and Kevin Owens in 3 really great matches. But after that, what happens? John Cena wins, so it leaves Kevin Owens in limbo because he's not established on the main roster yet. So John Cena can lose, but every match John Cena's in is important because he's, John Cena. So he did step down a little bit. I think the booking decisions have been a little poor with Kevin Owens over the past couple of weeks, perhaps the past month. But I think it's the right thing for him to do. Let him put on those great matches. Let him get the crowd over by his in-ring performance. Matches against Cesaro, matches against guys like maybe Neville and these guys from NXT that whenever he was in NXT, this is what he did to get himself up to the main level. His character's there, his in-ring performance is there. It's just going to be a matter of time where he fits out perfectly.
Yeah, and you're right. After you fight John Cena 3 pay-per-views in a row, there's not much where else you can go other than down. I mean, you're not going to immediately get thrusted into the world title picture when the world champion is already a heel in Seth Rollins. So, and that, I agree. I think also you have to take into consideration that WWE had a lot of craziness that happened between July and now, between the Cena injury, there's a lot of question, the Undertaker coming back. It seemed to be a lot of trickle-down effect of who's going to fit where on the roster and on the booking for the remainder of the summer. So I take that into consideration. I think Kevin Owens is going to be just fine. Yes, I think it's obvious. There is a split opinion backstage in WWE. And Kevin Owens, I think, knew that going into it. I said it on my Triple I radio show Tuesday. When he got signed by WWE, or signed to the NXT brand, Vince had not had any interaction with him. Vince had not even seen him. And Triple H said to him very bluntly, he said, Kevin, I like you. We're going to let you run loose here in NXT, which he did. But when Vince sees you, I don't know what he's going to think. He might, want you to lose some weight. He might want to change your look, your style. I think if we look back in history, if we go back 20, 25 years, Josh, if there was a lot of shows like this, if there was all the social media, all the wrestling websites and wrestling talk, we would have been doing the same conversation with Mick Foley, with Edge. Guys that you say, oh, Mick Foley, he's just a stunt guy that's out of shape. But what he ended up having several world title runs that were meaningful. Edge, he's a guy who he's too skinny. He's going to end up being in a trio or tag team the rest of his life. Yeah. Ends up breaking out, having a great singles run. I think Kevin Owens, when it's all said and done, he's going to get his spot. He will be world champion too eventually.
I think WWE started with transitioning to not the prototypical big guys. I mean, you can talk about all these guys that weren't world championship material, but I think it really started whenever WWE gave the opportunity to a younger, or not a younger guy, but a smaller guy like Rey Mysterio. I wasn't always a big Rey Mysterio fan. I still am not. But whenever they gave a guy who is 5'6", who is wearing a mask, who has a completely different style as the world heavyweight champion, that's when it opened up things. You saw Jeff Hardy become world champion. You saw CM Punk cash in on Jeff Hardy. So Rey Mysterio started Daniel Bryan. Yeah, so you saw the smaller guys get that. I don't think just because he's so big and not a muscular guy, that's going to hold him back because he looks like a world champion. He looks like a guy that can fight anybody and win.
I think he will be a world champion one day, do you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because
multiple times.
My thought in this is that he's not going to be released from the company. He's not going anywhere. He's so good that he's going to rise above any hate, no pun intended. And also, the longer time goes and Triple H has more influence, he's a Triple H guy.
Yeah, he's a Triple H guy, and I think the best thing with Kevin Owens, and I want to ask you this to kind of wrap it up here in part one, is what do you do with Kevin Owens for the rest of the year? Is he thrusted into a world championship picture? Can you see him potentially feuding with a Brock Lesnar this soon in his career? What options do they have with Owens?
The rest of the year is tricky, again, because I don't know where he's going to fit. I do think he will eventually work with Brock Lesnar before it's all done. But Brock has a couple years still in this current deal. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm more interested to see. I think as long as Owens gets steady TV time between now and January, that's good. I'm interested to see where does he fit. Does he have a WrestleMania spot?
He does. He absolutely
does he have a WrestleMania spot, and is it a meaningful one? Is he thrown into a stupid 8-man tag or a battle royal?
I'll tell you this
or
much.
Is he put into something?
Kevin Owens will always get cheered because of who he is. Do not be surprised if you see a Kevin Owens-Daniel Bryan WrestleMania 32 match. Daniel Bryan KO, that's what I would do.
That'll sell to a huge elk of the audience right there.
Absolutely.
At Josh Eisenberg 4, at Justin LeBar. Again, make sure you go to CSRWrestling.com. All kinds of stuff there. New daily blogs from Vince Russo and others. You can also find Chair Shot Rally videos. Every Monday now you see it on CSRWrestling.com or the YouTube channel. You can see all the weekend's content in one click. But that's not until Monday afternoon. You want to still stick to WrestleZone where you can see the videos ASAP every single day. Josh and I are going to talk about reality shows this weekend, the benefit or not benefit of Tough Enough. The Diva search potentially
I'm the king of reality.
of
Reality
Divas.
Kings. It's
Plus-
on my homepage.
Plus we're gonna
You know what I mean.
Plus we're gonna book Monday Night's Raw, Brock Lesnar, Undertaker in the same place, same time. Don't go anywhere. Happy Saturday, brand new blog on CSRWrestling.com from Vince Russo. You love him, you hate him, you know you still read him. Josh Eisenberg, Justin LeBar. Let's talk reality shows, Josh.
What do you know about reality shows?
Well, and speaking of reality shows,
Your life is a reality. You know, your life is a reality show. I could book you on any TV channel, and everybody like RJ City, anybody. Britt Baker, I don't know where she's been, but she'll probably watch you. You're an interesting person, LeBar.
Yes.
Is your father the most interesting man in the world? Is he the Dos Equis guy?
I wish.
I think so. Good beard.
Speaking of reality shows, we've had Jason Carey on here on the show from Married at First Sight, and they are now showing clips on Tuesday evening. I believe it's at 8:50 to 9, little cut-ins. Last week they showed him showing up to Pittsburgh, going to our friends at 100.7 Star. The next few weeks you're going to see him here doing stuff in Pittsburgh and with Chair Shot Rally. So make sure you check that out. You can also see it, again, if you go to our social media pages. We have it there.
But I want to talk about the WWE reality shows,
enough.
Justin. Your show, the one that you still watch, Tough Enough, on the USA Network on Tuesdays. Is reality shows in general good or bad for WWE? Because they're crossing the line now, Justin, of going through the curtain. Too much, not enough, good or bad?
I think doing any reality shows it's hard to argue and say that they're bad, I think, because it adds exposure. Tough Enough maybe not as much, but especially Total Divas. I look at Total Divas, and I wish I would have started keeping a list 2 years ago when the show started of the amount of interactions I have from people, guys and girls, that either the guy saying, my girlfriend or my wife is now knows who John Cena and the Bellas are. She even will watch a little bit of Raw with me, or even guys who aren't wrestling fans coming up to me and saying, I mean,
Eva Marie is hot.
Yeah, the amount of exposure it does. So I think it's a matter, not so much does it hurt the business, I think it's a matter of what do we expect to come out of this. If you're expecting complete storylines and kayfabe to continue with Total Divas, you're going to be sadly mistaken. It's not plausible when they film Total Divas in advance. If we're expecting the next WrestleMania main event to come out of Tough Enough, I think we've proven that's just not going to happen. And if they bring back the Divas search this year, again, I think the most successful divas they've ever found out of the Divas search never even won it, much like Tough Enough.
Exactly. Here's the strange thing is they have so many opportunities with so many polarizing figures over time in WWE history to make reality shows off of, yet they go with a Legends House, which it was okay. I didn't mind Legends House. I thought it was interesting. You can really say were they really legends, some of those guys on the show. But you have guys, polarizing figures. How can you not get a reality show for a guy like Stone Cold, The Rock, if he's done with Hollywood, Chris Jericho and his band on Fozzy? WWE has an opportunity. These guys are polarizing figures outside of wrestling now. Utilize them on your network. Pay them whatever you need to, because the monthly subscriptions for that would ultimately boost and get bigger. Nobody cares to see Tough Enough anymore. I'm sorry. I don't care to see 7 or 8 guys that I'm never going to see in professional wrestling again.
I'm going to get back to Tough Enough in just a second because I think it needs to be addressed with what's going on. But how interesting would it be, off of your point, there's a lot of other potential out there. How interesting would it be, almost like WWE's version of Hard Knocks, getting rid of Tough Enough, but if you decide, okay, this particular performer, let's just say a Finn Balor, is going to come up and he's going to be done with NXT, or even Kevin Owens recently, following an NXT guy following a main roster rookie, and just like Hard Knocks, kind of following them around.
Great idea.
It
reminds me of what they do with the WrestleMania. They build the WrestleMania.
Same thing they do with Total Divas. You show a little bit of the personal life. You show them at the but you don't need to do as much contrived drama and conflict as Total Divas has. Just let it simply be them just trying to make it on the road. And
I think that's one thing that people want to see is how the day-to-day lives of superstars, and they get that a little bit with Total Divas. They get the relationships, they get the travel. That's okay, but you have to direct one now towards the male audience, not put a bunch of guys together. But like you said, spotlight one guy. If they really wanted to make something groundbreaking, if they really wanted to have a reality show, why not do maybe a 6 or 8 part series on Vince McMahon's life, following Vince?
I don't think you'd ever let it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's probably not going to happen. But if you really, or even Triple H, to the point, or Stephanie, one of those higher authority power figures, they are the ones that are pulling the strings. Yeah. They are the ones that we want this. I want to see Vince McMahon crack some eggs, drink it, go work out at 70 years old, go to the office, sleep for 2 hours, do the same thing again. That's interesting to me.
It'd be interesting. I still want Vince to write a book, but I don't think he'll ever do that.
Would you be the ghostwriter for him? I'll ghost read it for you. How about that?
I think Mark Madden would be a better choice.
I think so too.
I'm going to talk about Tough Enough real quick though, because you haven't really followed it.
I have followed it every single week, but I would lie to say if I watch it every single week.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Sarah Lee. I picked her from the very beginning. There's something I liked about her, and I like what I liked.
She looks attainable.
Yes, but this goes into my point.
Like you can get her.
This goes into my point.
You also said that about Maria, Playboy Playmate 6 years ago.
Here's the problem with what's come into Tough Enough. The problem with Tough Enough is I like the fact that they have live voting. I like that it's current. I like that the fans get involved. Unfortunately, Sarah should not still be there based upon the other female competition, but she is there, and she is there because the wrestling fans, especially the male demographic, they appreciate a girl who seems more real, believable. Believable is really what it comes down to. You look at Amanda, the blonde. Nobody would kick her out of bed. Really good look, but it took a lot of time.
I probably would add an extra bed.
It took a lot of time and work to get her to look that way. She looks almost just larger than life in that regard. But Sarah Lee, good looking, but again, believable, girl next door, kind of wholesome feel to it. And it's same thing with ZZ on the guy side of things. ZZ, if you took 20 wrestling fans right now, 20 of you that are watching right now, and I'm not saying you guys are all out of shape. I'm sure some of you are in better shape than me. But let's be honest here. If you took 20 run-of-the-mill wrestling fans and threw them in to do the Tough Enough drills, probably 18 of the 20 would perform like ZZ or worse. So I think that makes ZZ kind of likable because he's like, okay, he's a believable guy he's got a likable personality. But
does he though? Does he though? I don't like his personality.
But
what do you like about him?
I just think he's just funny. I don't know. I'm not saying he's ever going to be anything in the business.
The fact that your comedy is connected to his questions our friendship.
But
I'm just saying.
The whole Tough Enough thing already came in with bad credibility, and it's just, I don't know. I like this format. I like having the live stuff each week, but I don't know.
It's just not mind-blowing. It's not clicking, and I think it has a lot of...
Sarah Lee could win, and I hope that if she does, that she makes the most of it, because she's got to find a character and not just be
But do we, like you said earlier, do we expect them to be main events at WrestleMania? No, we don't. And that's not what WWE is, because if they were, they'd already be in the system. They'd already be being developed by guys who want to see them succeed. This is just for reality TV, and if they strike gold with a guy like who could be as successful as Maven, his greatest feat is eliminating the Undertaker in the Rumble, then they got that. That's the most. That's the most I can spotlight for to think that these people can do in WWE.
It'll be the guys or girls that have already been eliminated, like Mata or like Chelsea or Gigi. It's gonna be those people that are gonna end up just as the Miz and Ryback and John Morrison, the ones that didn't.
Yeah, like whoever remembered Bo Bice, but you remember Jennifer Hudson, American Idol. There you go.
Yeah. Well, you remember every American Idol winner. I don't.
Yes, you do. You watch the show too.
Some, but if it's not Carrie Underwood, I really don't care much anymore.
You're ridiculous.
If it's not Carrie Underwood, I don't care.
You like blondes?
No, I'm more of a brunette, but that's the
I'm a blonde guy.
That's the blonde that
we've established. I'm a blonde guy.
That's the blonde that really puts it over for me.
Carrie Underwood?
Yeah.
Because you're a red-blooded American man. That's why.
Hoorah! All right, we'll talk. We'll book Raw tomorrow here. Chair Shot Rally.
I hope so.
We are your #1 procrastination tool on the internet. It is Chair Shot Rally at WrestleZone.com. Each video every single day on WrestleZone, but you can also check out all of the content Monday afternoon. Just go to our YouTube page, subscribe, youtube.com/CSR Wrestling. Eisenberg, LeBar. Let's book Monday Night Raw. Go home show to SummerSlam. Let's start real quick with Stephen Amell. I think we agree. He impressed both of us last week. I don't want to say he looked like he belonged because he's not supposed to, but he did embarrass himself. He looked good.
He looked very limber. He looked very limber. He jumped over the barricade, over the good promo was probably my big live promo with Triple H, and you can sink or swim with that. I was wrong, and it was never if he could do it. It was why is he doing it? Because I didn't know his credibility. I knew what he did with CW in the show Arrow. I get that. I get the point of what WWE is trying to do.
You pissed off his fans last week.
Did I really?
Yeah. We both kind of.
Does he actually have? Is he that cool?
He apparently has 4 million likes on Facebook.
Well, I mean, I like him, so I'm just saying I didn't follow a CW Arrow show, but
they were salty.
I got to give credit to our man Brian in Sacramento. He's the one who told me about Stephen Amell and even yelled at me for spelling his name wrong in an article. So You were right. Hello, Stephen Amell. You belong. You did good in your first night. Let's just see how SummerSlam goes.
I agree. And so as far as Raw, I don't think he's advertised to be at Raw this go-home edition.
I don't think he's needed to. Yeah.
So I guess we can imagine that Neville will probably get beat down in the numbers game. It'll put emphasis on and Neville needing Stephen Amell. Probably.
Red era and green era.
Red era and green era. Yeah. I think we can all agree too. Barrett and Stardust came out of nowhere. It really should have been The Miz. The Miz, obviously, who he thinks he's an A-lister. He should have been on Stardust's side, counteracting Stephen Amell as an actor. They feel Miz. The only reason I can see The Miz needs to be in the IC title feud is if they are determined to give him the belt out at SummerSlam, which I don't even know if that's going to happen. So I don't.
Doesn't make sense.
Not that I don't want to see Barrett on TV, but I don't understand why Barrett would get the spot nonetheless. Because Barrett's probably going to get pinned. Well, no, he won't get pinned. It'll be Stardust will
get pinned by Amell. Yeah, but it's just an interesting tag team dynamic with King Barrett and Stardust out of absolutely nowhere. But something that's 15, 16 months in the making, the rematch. Brock Lesnar, say it for me.
Brock Lesnar.
And then Justin Roberts goes, The Undertaker. The only thing Justin Roberts ever did good for me. This is the match. Everybody wants to see what happens. How do you book their go-home show? What needs to be established here heading into Brooklyn?
You cannot insult the brawl, the great brawl, maybe one of the best Raws.
Raw brawl.
Raw brawl and Raw segments you've had in a long time. You cannot insult what you did a few weeks ago. So naturally, if it was 5 weeks away from having to protect the SummerSlam main event then, where you needed all hands on deck of security in the roster, you can't go any less than that. What sense would that make that you're 6 days now in front of your big money match, if you're Triple H, and not go all hands on deck? So they need to go all hands on deck again, and whatever they do, and I still preach and ask, please, you keep saying same time, same place, show Brock Lesnar's locker room, show a line of security outside of it, or show Brock pacing, emphasize heightened security. That is the only thing that makes sense. If they do anything less, then you're completely insulting the great programming you just did.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I didn't even think of that, to be honest with you. So bravo to you for that one. That's exactly what needs to happen. Is you need to have a little bit of interaction with these guys in the ring, but you need to also spotlight them on 2-3 segments. They can't have one big segment of 10 minutes. You have Brock Lesnar and Undertaker there. You have a 3-hour and 15-minute show. Use them 2 or 3 times. You're not overexposing them because we haven't seen them since the brawl together. So what do you need to do? What do you need to establish? You need to establish these guys hate each other. They're pissed off of one another. They don't like each other. We can even go further. Why not show Brock Lesnar entering the arena? Why not show the Undertaker, maybe not the Undertaker entering the arena, but the Undertaker backstage, or something Undertaker backstage that you don't know where he's at. Maybe Brock Lesnar's trying to look for him and then they finally calls him out. But yeah, you need that heightened security. This is going to be a match at SummerSlam, and we'll do our predictions next week, but this is going to be a match at SummerSlam that I'm going to have a really close eye on, because there's 2 ways, obviously, that you can go about this, but there's about 7 ways that the match can be finalized.
Absolutely. And I really hope that, play off you, I really hope that they do make it last the whole show. Don't just save it for one. Like I said, tease, and let that be the big finale.
We can't see Lem at 10:55 as we waited 2 hours and 55 minutes.
You know what? And if the main roster and the security wasn't enough to contain those 2 guys because the brawl spilt into the backstage, so maybe in partial lieu to making logical sense and partial promoting the big NXT event you have in Brooklyn, have some of the NXT roster at Raw. Yeah. Triple H just called in them because we need as many bodies as possible. That's logical to me, and it cross promotes. So they just need to make sure they don't do anything less than what they did weeks ago, because now that the main event is 6 days away and it's more important than ever. Josh Eisenberg, Justin LeBar, make sure you go to CSRWrestling.com, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and again, don't forget 205th Sunday, SummerSlam afternoon. It'll be a great time to get ready and talk some wrestling. We'll see you next week.